Sorry. I got kicked out of OBS. I don't know if I'm still streaming or not. Lost 4 subscribers to this bullshit. Okay. We're still there. God dang it. This is a bunch of bullshit, man. I'm going to have to download both of these. God dang it. All right. I'm glad you're back, Ned. I don't know what happened. The OBS kicked me out, so anyways. It's NASA. They don't like what I'm saying. Bastards. Okay. I'm going to have to glue these two together. Anyways, we see the light reflected off this back one here. And we see the light reflected this way here. Doesn't make sense. Primary light source meant to simulate the sun is obviously positioned to the right of the scene, as clearly demonstrated by the shadows of the object in the background. But there is just as obviously a secondary light source coming from the direction of the photographer. We know this because we can see in the foreground that the shadows coming off the small moon rocks point away from us. We know it also because we can see light being reflected off of the gold foil wrap around the ground of the pod. But we know it most of all because we can actually see the light reflected in the foil. I think it's just you and I, Ned, because I got kicked off, man. The shadows in the foreground, and in the background are neatly right angles, a phenomenon that cannot, by any stretch of the imagination, be explained away as a perceptual problem, especially when we can clearly see the reflection of the secondary light. One other question concerning this particular photo: how do you suppose you would go about capturing such a low-angle shot with a chest-mounted camera? Was the astronaut photographer standing in the foxhole? The other issue involving shadows concerns the fact that in the majority of the photos allegedly taken on the moon, objects lying in the shadows are clearly visible, even though, due to the moon's lack of atmosphere and the fact that the sunlight therefore does not scatter, those shadow areas should be completely black. The moon, you see, is kind of black and white world. If something is in the direct path of unfiltered light, it should be well lit on one side. If it's not, it should be as black as NASA's starless lunar night. Yet in here, as you can see what's going on. You can see his legs. You can see a little bit of reflection. You shouldn't be able to see any of that if it's in the shadow. If it's in the shadow and you have one light source, it's in the shadow. There's nothing else. You got nothing else. It's pretty crazy how they kicked us off. That sucks, man. I lost all my people that were watching. I hope they filter back in. Sorry about that, guys. It's not my fault. It's OBS or NASA. It's YouTube. The debunkers, of course, have an explanation for this. Let's turn once again to badastronomy.com for that explanation, since that seems to be the website that all other debunking websites consistently reference and link to, the one that all major media outlets endorse, and the one that even NASA apparently refers skeptics to. According to that site, the lunar dust has a particular property. It tends to reflect light back in the direction from which it came. Plate then goes on to provide following explanations of the lighted shadow phenomenon. Let's say the sun is off to the right in the picture. It is illuminating the light. It's illuminating the right side of the lander, and the left is in the shadow. However, the sunlight falling beyond the lander on the left is being reflected back towards the sun. The light hits the surface and reflects to the right and up, directly onto the shadow part of the lander. In a previously cited example, Plate managed to make it through 4 entire paragraphs before contradicting himself. Here he has easily shattered that record by, incredibly enough, contradicting himself in a back-to-back sentences. And this, keep in mind, seems to be the honest debunkers that NASA has to offer. It is unclear whether Plate is a paid shill or simply a useful idiot. In other words, it is unclear whether he actually believes the stuff he writes or whether he is knowingly lying his ass off. But the latter seems far more likely. Plate is right on the money when he says that the light falling beyond the lunar module on the left would be reflected back towards the sun. Unfortunately, he then immediately contradicts himself by claiming that the same light would be reflected to the right onto the module. The only way that that could happen, as Plate surely knows, is if the light were to shine through the lander and reflect off of the shaded portion of the soil. But that makes no sense, of course, just as Phil's explanation makes no sense. Light does not disperse on the moon, as Plate himself notes elsewhere on his website. And the surface of the moon, or at least what passes for the surface of the moon in NASA's photos, is not a very reflective surface, as can be clearly discerned in the photographs. Actually, it would be more accurate to say that the moon is a very selectively reflective surface, which the light choosing to reflect only on the astronauts and on the flags and on the other patriotic symbols. Not too surprisingly, are you still with me, Ned? Not too surprisingly, Plate once again invites readers to reproduce the effects right here at home, completely ignoring the fact that, as he himself has acknowledged, light behaves in entirely different ways here on Earth than it does on the moon. Plate also claims that a nifty demonstration of the shadow filling was done by Ian Goddard in Goddard and can be found here. His demos are great and really drive home the point. In truth, Goddard's nifty demonstrations are entirely dependent upon the effects of atmosphere causing the light to disperse, and thus they have no validity whatsoever. Good. I'm glad you guys are back. We're going to get to the mirror man, and I actually touched on it in the other ones. So I forgot to mention the earlier discussion, by the way, that Plate has also appealed to readers to conduct an earthbound experiment to debunk the diverging shadows conundrum. According to Phil, you can experience this for yourself. Go outside on a clear day when the sun is low in the sky and compare the direction of the shadow of near and far objects. You will see that they appear to diverge. Here's a major claim of the HBs that you can disprove all by yourself. Here's another experiment the Plate might want to try himself. Go outside during the daytime on any day you're choosing and look up at the sky, if it is not absolutely jet black. Then feel free to continue advising your readers to conduct moon simulations here at home. If it is blue, however, or gray, or white, or pretty much any other color than black, then stop pretending as though conditions on the moon can be replicated here on Earth, when we all know better, or we all should know better. And when you're done with that experiment, give the camera to the chest challenge to try and let everyone know, how well that works out for you. And try to get some of those low-angle shots like NASA likes. The truth is that even though a limited amount of light would reflect in the shadows, there was still way too much detail visible in the shadows in virtually all of NASA's photos, if the arguments that NASA and Plate put forth earlier are all accurate. As readers will recall, the earlier claim was that the lunar surface and the astronauts' spacesuits were dazzlingly bright in the unfiltered sunlight, that very fast shutter speeds and very small apertures were required to avoid overexposing the shots. The problem for NASA and its attack dogs is that you can't have it both ways. If the camera is stopped down to avoid overexposing extremely bright highlights, it cannot simultaneously capture full detail in the shadow. And if the aperture and shutter speeds are set to capture detail in the shadow, the camera would necessarily also capture the brilliant stars, which would be far brighter than anything lying in the lunar shadows. Other planets would be pretty hard to miss in the lunar sky as well, though none can be seen in any of NASA's photos. Do you remember, by the way, that Winley also told us earlier that the relationship between the aperture settings and the depth of field? This basic rule is the smaller the aperture setting, the greater the depth of field will be. With a wide aperture, conversely, the photo will have little depth of field. That is why portrait photographers tend to shoot with the lens wide open, to deliberately isolate the subject from foreground and background elements. Landscape photographers, on the other hand, stop the lens down to keep the entire scene in focus. With that bit of basic photographic knowledge in hand, it is fairly easy to determine whether the NASA's photographs were, in fact, taken with a very small aperture setting, and a good place to start, I suppose, is with the very first photos allegedly taken by a man standing on the lunar soil. Below is what is alleged to be Armstrong's very first attempt at lunar photography, just after climbing down from the module. And he snaps this shot. Boom, looks nice. Looks great. Well done, Armstrong. First off, I think we can all agree that under the circumstances, it's pretty damn good first effort. There are problems right off the bat, of course, with the fact that the shadows are obviously lit with a diffuse secondary light source, or else we wouldn't be able to see the top of the bag or the United States signs or the shadowed site of the landing strut. But what we're really looking for here is depth of field, which this photo is very little of. The photographer has focused on the United States sign, and he did it blindly, but little else is sharply focused. Hence, we know from the very first shot that the bunkers are lying about exposure settings. Let's look right here. Look at that, up here. United States. You see that up here in the corner. In the darkest part, you see that real clearly and nice. Right up in there. Moving on to Armstrong's second alleged photo, seen below, we can find that there is very little depth of field. Both the foreground and the background are quite blurry, indicating that it is clearly was taken with a small aperture setting, and yet there is nary a star to be seen. Nothing in the background. They didn't think that one through. Before moving on, there is one more of Armstrong's photos that I feel obligated to present here. It is, after all, his masterpiece, as well as being probably the most iconic of all the Apollo shots. I am talking, of course, about the so-called man on the moon shot of cohort Buzz Aldrin, seen below, which is probably not actually Aldrin. My guess is that it's the same two actors did all of the moonwalking in the videos and the photos on the alleged missions. Guy's a smart ass. I love it. Okay, so let's read what he has to say about this. We'll come up and look at it again. We must first, of course, compliment Neil on the awesome composition. It hardly looks staged at all. But there are problems here. Once again, I'm just not seeing the depth of field that Winley promised us. It's also pretty hard not to notice that Buzz's spacesuit isn't pressurized. Let's take a look at this. It doesn't really look that pressurized. He's right. Got all those wrinkles in it. Interesting. I passed that up before. Pressurized. Furthermore, the surface of the moon is quite evenly lit, indicating that the light source used was much closer than the sun. And then there is a noticeable lack of any shadowing on Buzz's spacesuit. He's casting a shadow on the ground, but there is no corresponding shadowing of his body. Even here on Earth, that is only possible with a secondary light source. True, man. Why isn't that all black? So it's coming like this, right? Follow my cursor. The light's coming like this, right? Coming like this, coming across. And yet all of this is perfectly and nicely lit. And if you look at the shadow, I just thought of this. If you look at the shadow in his oh no, that's the reflection, so it's reflecting back of that person taking. The shadows and the reflection don't match, although they'd be reversed. What's this shadow right here in his visor? Could be what's on the ground, I guess. Okay. There are some photos of NASA in NASA's collection that were taken without a secondary light source. So we do know what fake moon landing pictures should look like. The action shot below of the lunar rover, for example, was taken without a secondary light source to fill the shadows. The shadows still aren't quite as dark as they would be on the moon, but the difference between a fake moon shot taken with the fill light and a fake moon shot taken without the fill light couldn't be more obvious. Yeah, look at here. Look at here. If there's only one light source, you can't see the tire in here. You can't see anything of the tire. You can't see anything of his left leg sitting on there. You can barely see his left shoulder up in here, right? You can't see any of that on the left side. So why wouldn't that have been taken on the other photo up here, right? Here you see everything. Wouldn't that also reflect, if you only have the sun coming from this way, all of this leg here should be black, just like it is down here where all of the wheel is black? Makes sense? NASA liked the man on the moon image so much, by the way, that they essentially restaged it for the Apollo 12 mission, as can be seen below. A secondary light source was used for that shot as well. Without the fill light, there is simply no way that a portion of the astronaut spaceship would not be shadowed, as it was in the rover photo above. Again, they did this one. They loved it. They're like, we'll take a picture of that one. Boom. And look at that photo, man, of that camera fucking pointing down. Holy crap, man. And we're going to believe that that was all these photos that were taken with that damn camera. That damn camera. And then again, he's taking a picture here, right? The sunlight is reflecting off of this side. It's coming from this way. What's that light up in there? What's that light off in the background right up in here? That's interesting to me. But again, here, completely black. Moving on then to the next issue we have with the mystery of the disappearing crosshairs. The problem, according to skeptics, is that the crosshair reference marks, which were etched into the camera lens and therefore should always appear on the top of any object in the photo, sometimes disappear behind these objects. Plate actually gets this one correct by explaining the phenomenon as a problem of overexposure and contrast. When some of the brighter objects in the photo are overexposed, the fine crosshairs tend to get washed out. That is, in fact, a reasonable explanation for the effect. By the way, I mentioned before that I was not a rocket scientist. I am, however, a photographer. The claim that the crosshairs should be visible presupposes that NASA added objects to the photos, creating composites. I seriously doubt, though, that would have been... The claim that the crosshairs should be visible presupposes that NASA added objects to the photos, creating composites. I seriously doubt that, though, that would have happened. The scenes appear to have been very carefully staged before the photos were taken, so there would have been no need for cutting and pasting. And if NASA had planned on adding additional elements to the photos, I doubt that they would have complicated the process by using cameras with crosshairs. It would have been much easier to create the composites first and then overlay the marks on top of them. However, the same can certainly not be said of the images that purport to show various parts of the ship flying around space. How did they get that? How did they get that photo from outside the spacecraft? Take the image below, for example, which is supposed to be a two-dimensional rendering of the three-dimensional scene of the command and service module in lunar orbit. If it were an actual three-dimensional scene, the spaceship would be 69 miles above the lunar surface, which would, I would think, make it difficult for a portion of the lunar terrain to be obscure part of the which would, I think, make it difficult for a portion of the lunar terrain to obscure part of the ship's S-band antenna assembly. S-band. I'm trying to think where you saw that. What do you mean by that? Oh, right down here. Oh, yeah, right down in here. The lander, that is interesting. You got all these perfectly circular discs here, and then it's like something happened down in here. If you see where my cursor is, where it's flat, comes in flat. Interesting. The shot, as can be seen in the enlargement below, is clearly a composite, and not a very good one. So it is entirely possible that one of the photos allegedly shot on the moon are composites as well. I obviously haven't studied every one of them. I'm just saying that the ones that I have seen that have that have disappearing crosshairs do not appear to be composites. The next problem with NASA's photos is that some of them seem to have identical backgrounds but different foregrounds. As Phil Plait explains, in one photo, they show the lunar lander with a mountain in the background. They then show another picture of the same mountain but no lander in the foreground at all. The astronauts could have taken either pictures before the landing, of course, and after it lifts off, the lander leaves the bottom section behind. Therefore, there would have been something in the second image no matter what, and the foreground could not be empty. Plate begins this debunking by stating rather hilariously, as always, repeat after me, the moon is not Earth. Plate goes on to claim the distances are very difficult to judge on the moon and that the two photographs were actually taken from different angles. And yet the background remains virtually unchanged because despite appearances, it is really, really long ways away. Either that or one of the astronauts was really David Copperfield. It's funny. Two photographs appear below. I'll leave it to a reader to decide whether, as Plate claims, the mountains are in fact many, many times further away from the lander than the lander is from the photograph. And I'll do it while noting that Phil provides neither the photographs nor a link to them, but instead asks readers to accept what he says on faith. I wonder why he would do that if he were so sure of his conclusions. I also wonder why, in the final photo, the lander appears to be parked much closer to the mountains than Plate would have us to believe. Yeah, it's so funny. Oh. So, guys, that has got us to our third version, or our third. You're right. That has got us to our third. That has brought us to our our fourth episode of Wagging the Moon Doggie. We got kicked off, and that sucks, man, because we had like close to 10 people in here. And my OBS kicked us off. It's probably NASA saying, no, you're not allowed to talk about this. I'm going to screw this up for you. I bet you that's what they're doing. They don't like it when I'm exposing the truth every day, because that's what I do. But I do appreciate everybody that hung out and watched with us. Let me read a few of the comments here. The aperture argument is compelling, said Ned. Art by Greg. Fluid of poor art by Greg. Wait till y'all see my photography. Ned Frankly, the astronauts look so guilty in their press conference. Yes, they did, Ned. Buzz Aldrin, we never went. Now leave me the FUD alone. Back. Oh, yeah, we have Fluid Poor Art by Greg in here, which is he's got a really cool channel. I shouted him out today to do go sub to his channel. He does art. He's a photographer. I wonder if he could speak to some of this stuff. Baltimore is losing 28-6 in the Titans. Ooh, nice. Hey, Mark, Ned, I'm seeing if there's any good comments here. Is it just me or is the volume low? Oh, man, don't tell me the volume was low, but it does look a little low in here, damn it. Sorry, guys, if I was a little too low. I'd turn it up now. It's really late in the game. Low. Damn it. Was it low the whole time? When I was a kid, we got the famous We Came in the Peace book, even though I thought the pics looked hyper real. Sounds okay, but no earbuds. Air bubbles in space. The fraud is in your face. Stop telling the truth. I'm mature, bro, but good. I am amateur. Oh, okay. Not awful. Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. No, you do a good job on your stuff, man. I liked it. That sucks to know. I'm going to have to see what I'm going to do on these videos anyways, because since it got broke up, I'm going to have to download this one, download the last one, glue them together and put them up, and then cut those other ones off earlier tonight when my stream wasn't working because my internet was screwed up. But anyways, yeah, it was fun. Well, picture book about the moon landing. Yeah. I don't think we went, man. And this was one of the more boring. This was actually one of the more boring articles on the picture stuff. He gets into some really interesting stuff. You guys could read ahead if you want to. You can go to Center for Informed America. He has some really interesting, and you could read these Wagging the Moon Doggie yourself. But man, it's interesting. He also does some other things on like Laurel Canyon, which is another series I'll be doing. So it's yeah, exactly. Great 5 streams. It wasn't my fault, Mark. It was because this stupid thing kept kicking me off and then starting up again. So that really wasn't my fault. Just for the record, okay? Love the art piece behind you, SJG. Thank you. I don't know where we got that, man. From But that one, the red and white one over here, we got at, it's like an IKEA one. I don't know where we got that black and white one though, but I really like it too. It's really cool. Yeah, I like that one. I like that one as well. So, oh, the back of my head, man, that's funny. That's funny. I'm gray. Anyways, rotating back around. Here we go. Anyways, all right, guys. Well, I don't know what else I'm going to say right now. I might do a stream tomorrow too. I gotta try to. I was gonna get a few videos up this week, and I haven't been able to. But I was working on a. I'm working on a pseudo mini little documentary on the CFR, Council on Foreign Relations, and the Trilateral Commission and whatnot. And it's very, very interesting, nonpartisan, but very interesting. And I would really love it if you guys, when it comes out, find a time where you can sit down for an hour. Get yourself a drink, get yourself some food, sit on your bed, sit on your couch, whatever, and just watch it because it's really interesting. I think you guys will like it. So it's very, very interesting, very enlightening, actually, of what's going on with some geopolitics and whatnot. So anyways, black and white cityscape. Yeah, it is. Great chat, too. Thank you. Yeah, we had a good chat tonight. Where are you at? Where are you at? What state? I am in Oregon. I don't know if you were asking me, but what state I was in, Fluid, but I'm in Oregon. When you turned around, I swear I saw a lunar lander on the back of your head. Shut up, Mark. Suck it, Mark. Suck it. With the Patriot Hour videos. That's funny. Dick. I'm just kidding. Anyways, yeah, no. I'm from Oregon. And yeah, you might have seen a lunar landing on the back of my head. That's rude, Mark. I tell you what, that rum is good. I really like that rum, as you can tell from the shake. Yeah, it's real good. It goes down smooth. Anyways, yeah, I had a fun time, man, on Drone Tech stream. That was good. Fluid, you were over there. And a film crew. Shut up, Mark. I get your point, man. I get your point. I got a big head and it's going bald in areas. Suck it, okay? Shut your mouth. Just kidding. Okay, man. I'm going to go in, relax. I got to cut this up. I'm going to also work on my other one. But I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. That was good times. It was fun. And I'm just adding to the whole moon, my Wagging the Moon Doggy stuff. We're going to get through this. I have 12 episodes to go. No, not to go. I have probably 8 or 9 episodes to go. So, new sub, 3, bro. Good, man. I lost 4 already. So that's the funny part about this, is that I knew I was probably going to lose some, but I was at 968 when I started my streaming tonight by myself, and I'm down to 964. So I lost 4 subs because I think it's probably because I was talking about the moon landing, and some people are like, oh, geez, because they just don't want to address it and they don't want to think about it. But yeah, I think it's something to be interested in. And I'm glad I got a little through to Ned. I don't know where Ned's at on this, but he's like, the aperture thing is compelling. It is compelling. There's so many little compelling things about these videos, guys, or about the moon landing. It's not these big things that they like to try to debunk, right? It's the little things. It's a whole bunch of little things. Death by 1,000 cuts, man. It's the little things that don't make sense and add up and that are very, very hard to explain with a straight face. So it went down 7 when I added my art. So, but I appreciate you guys, and you guys are new, so I'm glad you guys were here. I hope you guys become regulars to the chat. Normally we have about 12 to 15 people, and it's a lot of fun, and it's good people. But you know, and it's not about convincing anybody. It's about starting to little by little red pill some people on this into thinking, you know what? There's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense about this. And it is. The devil is in the details. Mark's right on that. So, anyways, ASD. What does ASD mean? I'll wait for you to respond what ASD means. Sorry about that. That was a rum burp. A rum and McDonald's burp. Because I ran to McDonald's when my stream quit working and I had to take my daughter to somewhere. But it's good. They censored autistic. They censored autistic. Autistic. Yeah, I'm a little autistic. Truth fears no scrutiny. This is true, man. Truth fears no scrutiny. I like that. Truth fears no scrutiny. Yeah, prove me wrong kind of a thing. Yeah. They censored autistic. I still don't know what ASD means. They censored autistic? Autistic. I don't get it. I don't get it, but I don't need to, I guess. It's not that big a deal. All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out. The only thing flat earthers fear is spirit self. Spirit itself. That's the one I can't buy off, man. And I just can't. And a lot of people that believe we didn't go to the moon are also flat earthers. And ASD is autistic. Oh, okay. I can't buy that the earth is flat. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm not saying. I just don't know what I think anymore when it comes to lies we've been told. But that one's hard for me to buy. That one's really hard for me to buy, man. I get it. All the pictures of Earth look a little funky and wonky. But, man, I've stood on a shore, and I've been on a boat, and as it goes, the Earth disappears, or the shoreline disappears, right? Slowly. I have seen ships slowly disappear over curvatures. We've been up high enough in planes to be able to see curvatures. I don't buy it, man. I just don't. It's hard for me to. I don't get it. It's hard for me. Yeah. Pythagorean theorem disproves flat Earth. Do the math in the real world. Yeah, that's kind of with me. The truth shall set you free. I don't believe we went to the Earth. I believe that we're not being told the truth on 9/11. I believe that there is something to the chemtrails. I believe we can modify weather. I believe a lot of these different tinfoil hat theories that people want to get mad at me about. I have a hard time buying into flat Earth. I'm going to do some more research on it. I do think it's weird, the whole Antarctica thing. I will give you that, how they got Antarctica on lockdown. That's weird, but that doesn't mean that there's that people could look over the side of the Earth and see that it's we're not on it's not a globe. I think there could be something else weird going on up there, but yeah. But there's no judgment. Anybody who wants to think that can think that and can present that. And I had one of my subs or people come on and ask me to try to debunk it. So maybe I will try to debunk it. Maybe I will actually try to take the debunking route on that because I have a hard time buying into that one. But when it comes to the going to the moon, man, I've bought off on that one. I have done a whole lot of reading on it, watched a whole lot of documentaries, a whole lot of things, and I'm just like, damn, it's so easy to believe. It's not in the same realm of the Earth. It's so easy to believe we didn't go to the moon. And it's so easy to understand why we said we did and how we convinced everybody that we did. That's also easy to understand. And I don't disparage necessarily why it was important to them to make people think we went. I get all of that. But too many G-forces on the body. But when it comes to the flat Earth, it's like, dude, that's a tough one for me. But I don't know. Maybe I need to try to disprove it, for my own self. So, but I can't buy off on that. But I don't hate anybody who does. So, anyways. Well, we got 6 people now back watching, back when I'm done with this. But I think I'm pretty much done. So I've been out here streaming since 4 o'clock with Drone and some other people. And I was going to do a little more of a regular news stream tonight. But I think I'll try to do one tomorrow. So if you guys can try to just keep a watch out for me, I will maybe I'll do one tomorrow at 6 or 7. My time, Pacific time. So that would be 9 to 10 So maybe I'll try to do it at 5. But I am going to a movie tomorrow night, so we'll see how that all works out. But I wouldn't mind jumping on and covering some news topics too. No volume? What are you talking about? Modus operandi? There's not enough volume? Jeez, hang on a second. Check 1, 2. Now I'm turned up all the way there. Man, am I not? I just feel like that's going to be clipping. Is that better when I'm there? Do I need to be all the way there on this stuff? I'm going to talk for a second now, and I would like everybody to come through and tell me now I've readjusted it. Am I too loud now? Especially when I get loud like this. So now am I too loud, or is this better? I just adjusted it. Is this better? Hot, hot, hot. Ned's saying I'm hot. So I'm too hot now, right, Ned? Ned's saying I'm too hot. Much better. Mark's saying loud, loud. Fluid's saying loud, loud. 5x5. Gonna put on headphones. So is this too loud then? I'm not distorting. Am I distorting? Is this level distorting? Because I'd like to mark these on my mixer. Is this level distorting? And then I have another mic, but if I turn this one up, if I turn that one up, it picks up the rain. It's raining hard here. You can hear that. Hear that rain, guys? I don't know if you can hear that or not. It's raining. That's just kind of a backup mic. It's bassy. Yeah, it is bassy. I did turn that all the way up because I felt it was too tinny. Okay, maybe this is a good adjustment. Telling me where I'm at, guys. So is this a better mix? I turned the bass down. And I'm up like this. Tell me now what this sounds like to you guys. If I'm at this level doing check one. If I'm doing this and I get kind of loud, I'll try to lean back like this. But tell me if this is a good mix for my videos, if I'm loud enough. Tell me now. Tell me now or forever hold your peace. Perfect. I got a couple perfects. Cool. This is good. I got Modus, got Fluid, got Ned. They're saying that's all perfect. So I need to look at that settings and not touch them. Is that better? No, not too bassy. Sounds okay. We just had a tornado warning here in Ohio an hour ago. Been raining for 4 days now. So is this decent then? Is this decent? Not too bassy or anything? Also not too tinny? Good. Okay, good. All right, well, I'll leave that like that then. So now I know, and knowing's half the battle. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. This has been fun. And please make sure you got your notifications on. And please check out the other videos we're going to put up. I like to do my conspiracy theories. I'm going to do one on 9/11 too. This is the stuff I like to talk about, man. And people are always like, you're not a patriot if you question 9/11. You're just a word. It's like, no, I'm a patriot because I question 9/11. That's how I look at it. I love America. I love free speech. I love my guns. I hate political correctness. I hate abortion. I hate high taxes. I hate big government. I hate all of this crazy political correctness. I can't stand any of that stuff, right? But I have a side of me that says, we've been lied to about our government. And not our good guys, not our figureheads or our puppets and the people we fall in love with and our presidents, but the deep state, man. The deep state, the people that really pull the strings, right? Those are the people that I got an issue with and I got a problem with and I like to call out. So this is what it is. If you guys don't like it, hopefully you stick around, but it is what it is. Hey, what's up? Ammo, Modus Operandi, Fluid, and Ally Aoud. He says it's perfect. I got all these people watching now, and I'm done with my stream, man. So I'm just boringly spinning around here, doing my diddliness. But anyways, all right. I think stop telling the truth. Was that like an old stream? Yeah, this is probably from before. If girls doesn't exist, I would probably kill myself many years ago. Hit the bell. Looking forward to the next one. Joe, no, who did 9/11? Joe knows who did 9/11. Any idea what time you might start? I don't know yet. I got to get on a schedule and stay on it. That's really a big thing that I'm going to work on doing here. Juno. Juno. I get it now. I get it now, Mark. That's funny. Hit the bell. Looking forward to the next one. Juno who did 9/11. Juno who did 9/11. That's funny. I know it's a simulation. I wish I didn't. That's funny. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna get that worked out. I keep saying that, but I am gonna get that worked out where I have a set time so you guys know and we can start planning for it. And you know what I'm gonna talk about. It's gonna be reading, news time with Steven where I just read articles. Maybe it's gonna be I'd like to start doing some music time with Steven where I sit down and I write a song. I want to do my 9/11 videos. I want to do my moon landing videos. I want to do my Laurel Canyon, some other ones that are interesting. I want to do all of these things, and it's just finding the time to do it. So I'm working it out. Stick around. Let's build this thing. Let's have a good time. Until next time, it's SJG Perspective without fear or animus. Go back and watch the other moon landings if you're having a doubt with what I'm saying, and get back all caught up on all my different moon landing ones. They're fun to listen to. And until next time, it is SJG Perspective. We will talk soon. By the way, somebody asked what time. 5, 6, or 7. So that'd be 8, 9, or 10. 5, 6, or 7 if you're on Pacific time. 8, 9, or 10 if you're on Eastern Standard Time. All right, guys. Love y'all. Appreciate you hanging out. We'll talk to you soon. Peace out.